Hey everyone, this is James from TDB, going to be bringing you some quick ripe reviews. So these are just going to be kind of like capsule style, real fast. These are teas that I've been drinking in my big blue pot, so drinking them very casually. And we're not going to devote episodes to all of them. I have filmed an episode already for one of these, but certainly not for all of them. And ranking them from least enjoyable to most enjoyable. Keeping in mind that least enjoyable is still good enough for me to drink because I drank through the whole tea. So the really truly ones that are trash and I don't like, I would have given away or composted if I really think that lowly of it. So just a way to quickly get some thoughts out on some different teas. And so for me at least, all of these teas are pretty clustered. There's not a huge quality difference in my opinion from 1 to 5. I would say from 2 to 5 in particular, these are all like B to C teas in terms of grade. Like they're solid. They get the job done. And in that sense, they are successful. But they're not super exciting. But forcing myself to rank them, I'm basically forcing myself to rank them, and so to kind of see, which ones do I like the most and which ones do I like the least. So on the bottom, we have the W2T Red Loon, which I finished off a week ago. This is not a bad tea at all. It's very decent, very baseline. I would say it's a little brighter, maybe a little fruitier than other ones, which is not totally the style that I go for personally when it comes to ripe. I think someone like Dayi might enjoy those more, where he likes a little more complexity. I personally like it more when ripe sticks to the lower to mid tones. I like it when there's more of a textural experience and stuff like that. Red Loon, not a ton of that going on. It more just gives like a brighter woodiness, a brighter fruitiness to it. Perfectly drinkable, perfectly nice to have in the morning, just not really a huge standout. And the next tea I'm going to be talking about in a very similar way, because in my opinion that's kind of what this occupies, and it is a Monghai Tea Factory Ripe. Very much the kind of the gold standard for ripes. I think this one's a bit different. This one's the Bada brick. And Dayi really likes this one. I think it's pretty good too. In some ways, I like it a little more gongfu, where you can kind of see some of that brightness come through. This one, I'm basically going to be describing it very similar to Red Loon, where there's a little bit more of a brightness. I don't think it's quite as fruity. A little more, maybe a little bit of date in there. I think that was how the tea was marketed at a bit. But I don't think it's quite as fruity as the Red Loon. A little bit more in that woody category, and it's very solid for the price, considering this is like 6 or 7 cents a gram, I think. But for me at least, it's not super exciting, and I think I generally prefer a good version of a numbered recipe, so like a good 7572, something along those lines. But yeah, it's solid. I'd say very much kind of on par with the Red Loon. It's a little bit brighter. It gives you like a Dayi ripe for sure, but a little bit of a twist on kind of their normal ripes. And it's also a little more single origin, so in that sense, it is a little different than kind of their standard ones. And an odd one to find, Bada is usually blended in quite a bit. Dayi uses a lot of Bada, but there's a reason why you don't see a lot of specifically Bada productions all the time. It's because it's often used as a blend with other regions to kind of create more of a layered approach. And so, it's definitely an interesting one to try. I think in this case, 1 kilogram brick, it's probably not an ideal sample for anyone. So I was grateful to split the brick amongst Dayi and my other friend Garrett. Garrett was even lower on the tea than I was. I'm kind of in the middle, and Dayi really likes the tea. So Dayi has, I don't know, like over a brick of this one, and he drinks it regularly. You can check out his diet on my.tdb.org. Okay, next up, right in the middle of here, I have a Chong Tai Ripe, which is a Hong Kong tea shop. And they were selling this at Wing Hock Feng, which is in California. So I was like, well, I like this tea shop in Hong Kong. I like their storage. They're really known for their traditionally stored teas, which are a little different than kind of the Yeon traditional storage, which is really dank. These, on the other hand, are a little more nuanced. They can have certainly a softer hand on the storage. And so I think this ripe is from like 2012, 2013. And it's good. It took me a little bit to come around to this one too. I think the material is a little bit weak. And so in that sense, that's one area where I think potentially the Bada brick and the Red Loon beat this. Is this one just comes off very mellow. So it's a very different stylistic choice versus those other ones. I do like some of the kind of like more older ripe characteristics it brings in, partly due to the storage, where you can have a little bit more of that medicinal Chinese medicine stuff. It's definitely an interesting one to try. In fact, I think people should go out and try this tea. It's something between $35 or something, and you can pay for shipping from Wing Feng. But I didn't think it was quite interesting enough to bring onto an episode, and I don't like it that much enough to like really shout from the skies and recommend it. Next up, I have the 2005 7632 from Dayi, and this is supposedly a lighter fermented one. And this one, honestly, even though I'm ranking it second here, is a bit of a disappointment. I thought, okay, 2005 Dayi, we're talking about serious business here. These teas usually cost a fair bit. There's usually a significant quality jump, especially when we get into some of these earlier years. And it's good. It's not great. I mean, it's better than these other ones. It has kind of the nice antique wood, but not as much as I'd like. Kind of a creamy tone to it going on too. It's a good tea, but I will say that it did disappoint me a bit. I was, I paid quite a bit of attention to my sessions here because I thought, oh, this might be like a good one to my multiple cake sub. And in the end, I was more than content with the half cake split that I did with Denny. Finished off, it's fine. It's a good tea. Just not great. And last up, I have the Aomen Hualian, which I just finished off and recorded an episode of. Not sure what's going to come out first or not. And this was a Taobao gamble. And ironically enough, I think this might end up being the cheapest of all of these, coming in at like 4 or 5 cents a gram. I think this is about $15 what I spent in 2014, 2015 range. And it's just a really sturdy ripe. It leans a lot more into the tones that I like, the heavily woodiness. There's sturdiness certainly to it. And I think the quality of the material is definitely better than the Dayi equivalents around that same period. So yeah, a very, very solid ripe from kind of a more old school operation there. So yeah, I talked about that there. And honestly, 2 to 5, all kind of the same tier. I'd say the Hualian is just slightly above that. It's a little bit above average as far as like the ripe that I choose to drink. And it goes to show you that cost is not necessarily always too correlated with quality, because that is the cheapest, but it's also my favorite of the batch. So thank you all for tuning in, and let me know how you like this episode, if you'd like me to do more of these kind of capsule styles, because I'm always drinking a lot of tea, and the vast majority of tea I drink, I do not talk about on the show. So a way for me to quickly kind of knock off some opinions that I have of teas that you may or may not be interested in. So thank you all for tuning in. I will see y'all next time. Cheers.